The European Union that's announced its flagship plans to start weaning itself off from Russian gas and fossil fuels. So before Russia invaded Ukraine, 40% of the European imports were coming from Russia, and they've decided to try and find ways to start weaning themselves away from Russia and looking to new suppliers in new areas. And Africa has come up in that. And to talk to us a little bit more about that, we're now joined by Farai Maguwu, who's the Executive Director at the Center for Natural Resource Governance in Zimbabwe. Thanks so much indeed for joining us. The European Union weaning itself away from Russia, the name Africa has come up. Could we be beneficiaries of this move?
Yeah, good evening, Peter. Indeed, there is a great potential for Africa to benefit from this standoff between Russia and Europe. And the recent measures announced by Europe clearly show the desperation that Europe has to wean itself off from Russia's gas and oil. And when you look at the capacity of Africa, as of 2021, we had over 620 trillion cubic feet of known reserves of natural gas. And most of it is underdeveloped in terms of its extraction. So given this, the need for gas, especially as they prepare to enter into their winter in Europe in September, I think they are going to look to Africa, countries like Algeria, and see how best they can increase the supply of gas from Africa so that they can cut down on what they are importing from Russia.
So where has our gas been going traditionally?
Like I said, some of the gas has already been going to Europe, but not at maximum capacity.
Okay.
And in some places, the gas is only known to exist in its natural state.
Right.
It has not yet been extracted. So if Africa can really increase the volume of production and also build infrastructure to supply the gas to Europe, I am sure that we can benefit from this standoff between Russia and Europe. And we also look at the uncertainty of the war. We don't know when it's going to end. And it seems that the tension is increasing with each passing day, which means Europe's desperation to find new sources of gas and oil is actually also going to increase as the war increases.
So what does this mean for Russia? It sounds as if they're probably going to end up with lots of stockpiles and excess gas they can't unload.
Yeah, that is a challenge. I also think Russia is also looking for new markets for its gas and oil. We know that they've also been reaching out to countries like India, but Russia is also testing the solidity of the unity of the European Union, because you have countries like Hungary, Czech Republic and Slovakia, which are landlocked, and they rely heavily on gas from Russia. And they've been hesitant to implement the European Union sanctions on Russia's gas and oil. So I think Putin is trying a lot of diplomatic maneuvers, finding new markets for Russia's gas and oil. And it's not yet clear how this is going to pan out, as the conflict is still very much active.
What does this mean for just the prices of these fuels?
Well, definitely the war has created scarcity in terms of gas and oil, and the prices have been going up, especially in Europe and also even in the United States of America. And the fear that many economists have at the moment is that already there is inflation, and the global economy may enter into a recession in the coming months, which is going to affect and hit hard, especially poor countries like in Africa. So where we are going, unless this war is diplomatic, a diplomatic solution is found as soon as possible, the world economy is going to go into a recession. And unfortunately, the poorest countries with no financial reserves are going to be hit hardest.
I suppose the other direction that Europe can take is to accelerate their renewable energies. And I just wonder if we might not start to see more and more windmills and alternative powering of and sources of energy as a result of this, and so that the growth that we're expecting in Africa may not come at the size that we hope.
Yes, that's a very valid point and observation, which is also one of the positive things that has come out of this conflict, whereas the COP conferences, which have been reduced to talk shows, where they've been talking left and walking right about the just transition to renewable energy. Now we are seeing that Europe is now taking practical steps because of the pressure that has been triggered by this conflict to venture into renewable energy and ramp up, the installation of solar panels in every new building in Europe, wind fields, and the other measures like even nuclear power, which is still not a very clean energy given its impact on the environment as well. But they are not stopping at anything in terms of shifting towards the renewable energy. But this is going to take long. It's not something that can be done overnight. The demand for energy in Europe is quite high, such that the shift will require a lot of years. Maybe we're talking about 10 years or so. And the current measures are not sufficient to replace the reliance on gas and oil. And already we are also seeing that they are moving towards coal again in Europe, which is like moving to where the whole world is moving away from. That's where Europe is going back. So the demand for gas will always be there for the foreseeable future.
All right. And perhaps finally, you spoke earlier about our state of preparedness. A lot of areas, we're even just talking about exploration. How can we accelerate so that we can become major players and take our place at the table, as it were?
The biggest weakness of Africa has been fragmentation, where very small economies, small states, have been trying to play at the global stage against multi-trillion economic nations like the United States. So what we need is integration of the African economies. We need the African Union to play a leadership role in bringing African states together when it comes to exploitation of Africa's natural resources. Without that, we may have some countries sitting on very precious resources, but without the capacity and the technical know-how of how to tap into those resources and transform those natural resources into wealth for their own people. So, for instance, at the SADC level, we need this consensus building among SADC countries on how best to accelerate exploration of natural resources so that we can meet our own needs at a regional level before we even talk about engaging global powers. But fragmentation has been the biggest weakness that we have. We have small nations with no capacity, but sitting on massive natural resources which they cannot exploit. It's affecting production.
All right, Farai, we're going to have to leave it. Always good talking to you. Let's hope we can find that unity to get our fossil fuels, gases to the party so that we can benefit from what's happening in Ukraine and Russia, and Europe's looking to other markets. Thank you so much for your insights. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mkoma Peter. Have a good evening.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.